Now, President Cyril Ramaphosa will be traveling to the United States later this week. There he's going to meet his American counterpart, Joe Biden. The meeting comes as Ramaphosa and the government insist that peaceful dialogue is the only solution to end the war between Russia and Ukraine, while the US has called for global countries to take a harsher stance. But South Africa's stance is being questioned by some critics. Now, let's unpack what else can we expect from the Biden-Ramaphosa encounter. I'm joined now by researcher at the Institute for Pan-African Thought and Conversation, Nompumelelo Ndawonde. Nompumelelo, good afternoon. Welcome to today. Thank you for your time here this afternoon on eNCA. What I find interesting, Nompumelelo, is that just a few weeks ago, Antony Blinken was in South Africa, the U.S. Secretary of State. Yes. And within a very short space of time, Joe Biden extending the invitation to Ramaphosa to go to Washington. Apparently, he initiated the request for this meeting. What should we read from this? I mean, is he trying to bring in Ramaphosa into the U.S. fold?
Absolutely. I mean, South Africa has always been a great partner with the US. And really leading up to this meeting on Friday, our prospects as Africans and South Africans as a whole is really to have these key issues be the focal point. Of course, there is that elephant of the room in terms of South Africa's stance with the Ukrainian and Russian war. But in terms of our agenda, the US-Africa strategy, we really need to hone in on these key pertinent issues, which are trade, infrastructure, nuclear powers, health, climate, which is a huge one coming up to the conference in Egypt of November of this year. So really, there has been these underlying questions in terms of South Africa's standing in terms of the Ukrainian and Russian war, but really our focal point should be what are the needs of Africa and how best can we find a partnership with the US.
Yeah, but I mean, by now, South Africa's position on the Russia-Ukraine war is publicly known, and I guess vice versa. Both parties would be knowing each other's positions, but we don't know if the focus there won't be as energetic as on the other areas you've mentioned, the trade issue, the health issue, the climate issue, and infrastructure. Would that then be saying the focus could be on possibly new investments by the US in South Africa?
Absolutely. I mean, new investments as well as also revisiting some agreements that we've had, such as in terms of trade, the Africa Growth Opportunity Act, that non-reciprocal trade agreement with the US, to assist African countries to better penetrate the US market. I mean, in terms of food security, moving away from this food insecurity to food security as well as in terms of nuclear weapons. There are agreements between the US and Africa, as well as energy agreements as well between not only the US, but also there's a partnership, the COP27 partnership, that is looking to assist South Africa to move away from this coal-centered production for electricity and move towards rather more renewable resources. So really, these are the things that I think as Africans, we're really looking towards having to be at the agenda and the focal point of this US-Africa strategy.
Just to zoom in on the energy one a little bit that you've mentioned, Nompumelelo. Yes. I mean, remember just a few months ago, it was at COP26 in Scotland, where the United States, the EU, the UK and Germany and France, I think they pledged about 8.5 billion US dollars to help South Africa, as you say, shift from its dependence on coal-fired electricity production towards the renewables. Do you think Biden would press Ramaphosa harder? Because I don't know if you know, but I'm not aware of how much progress the country is making towards the renewables. But there is that pledge of 8.5 billion that is available.
Absolutely. And that's a great question, because these are the issues that are really important to us within the African continent. So I cannot assume that that would be at the center of the conversations, but I'm hoping that that would really be at the center of that conversation, especially leading up to that COP27 that will be had in Egypt of this year. So in terms of energy, that's a big question in Africa and in South Africa as well. We know the issues in terms of load shedding. We really want to move away from this coal-centered dependency, moving towards more renewable sources of production for our electricity. So my hope is that we can perhaps move away from issues, diplomatic issues, can I say rather, looking at perhaps war in other areas of the world, and really hone in on the focus, which is US and Africa's strategy, and what that means, not just on a continental level, but on the national level, and what it means for Africans on the ground. Can they be able to trade within the AGOA? What are the prospects for that? What are the progress? What have been the problems? I mean, looking at nuclear issues, health is a big one as well. And also in terms of increasing that focus on infrastructure development.
Okay, finally, and if you may respond to this one very briefly, Nompumelelo, I saw a report quoting a White House spokesperson saying that the Ramaphosa's visit, in their view, will underscore the value of African partnership as outlined in the US strategy towards sub-Saharan Africa, recently announced in Pretoria. Would you share that sentiment?
Absolutely. I very strongly share that sentiment. I think this is a very critical time for Africans as a whole. We have this Africa Free Continental Trade Agreement, which would be the world's largest trade area. This is something that we need to hone in on as Africans. This would be an opportunity for us to not only increase our capacity building as a continent, but also be able to trade on a partnership level, on a collaborative level as Africans in solidarity, so that we are not always looking to the West or looking to Europe for assistance. So I really do reiterate those sentiments. I think this meeting on Friday is absolutely pivotal in terms of, shaping the narrative in terms of Africa's agenda moving forward, and us being independent in solidarity as a country and pushing the agenda of Africa forward.
Thank you very much, Nompumelelo Ndawonde, for your time this afternoon on Today. She's, of course, a researcher at the Institute for Pan-African Thought and Conversation, just getting a sense and analysis about the upcoming visit to the US of President Ramaphosa. Still